I'm starting the meeting in a minute, so take your seats. Please, Supervisor Kosmicki, I have the floor. You were insistent, you were emphatic, you were passionate about not interrupting someone when they have the floor. I haven't even finished my comment. Please. Tantrums, stop. Yes. Okay. So we're a little bit late for the 8:30 meeting. Let's go ahead and bring the meeting to order. It is 8:30. Typically, we have a pledge of allegiance at the beginning of the meeting. Is it that we counted it for yesterday, or? Okay, so we're just continuing on from yesterday's meeting. All right, and for, let's see,
The sound is weird. Turn off your.
my sound?
Oh.
There's individuals out there that can't come into the chambers, Ray, and that's why they were asking for the door to be. Oh. Okay. Can you explain that to those people there?
You're not intimidating me with your stare at me. It's ridiculous. All right, what's going on? I mean. Okay. All right.
Okay. So let's go ahead, and we're looking right now strictly at item number 5 from the August 24th agenda that we started yesterday. And so at this point, we are not having any type of public comment. It is strictly a conversation up here with the board chamber, the board members. Is Supervisor Hernandez online? Yes, okay.
Yes, I am, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Peter. So what I would like to do is go to the board members here. Supervisor Kosmicki, would you like to go first?
I mean, I said what I said yesterday. I don't really have anything further, other than to put it on the record that I disagree with allowing the violation of the rules that we have here in this board chambers. I think it's really wrong that we're giving special preference to people that are violating the rules and really just trying to create a show over this whole thing for their own self-serving needs. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you for your comment. Supervisor Tiffany?
Yeah, I think we already spoke about this at length yesterday. I just would add that I saw this morning that Our local infection rate is up dramatically, again, as of yesterday, and as well as hospitalizations. Also, those people that are vaccinated in the state of California are estimated to be 6 times less likely to get infected, and even greater in terms of hospitalization and death. So I think that, this makes what we're going to be discussing today makes total sense. Thank you.
Supervisor Hernandez?
I have 2 comments. One is, I believe, so we had a public health order just issued again this morning. I had no knowledge of it. It's funny because we had Dr. G on the phone yesterday, and he never mentioned that this is what he was going to do. So I still have to look at it. But nonetheless, it in my mind, it violated the meet and confer process. The meet and confer process basically allows the negotiation of the changing of working conditions. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't think that public health order has value, or at least for me, I'm distancing myself from it, because ultimately, if there are legal ramifications, I'm not going to own those. If the board wishes, they can take ownership over the consequences, because basically we have a public health officer who wrote an order, and we are the ones that are liable. The county's liable. He's not, for his decisions. To me, it's a very drastic contradiction of the Constitution. That's not the way it was intended. The separation of powers exists, and the ultimate jurisdictional authority of the legislative process belongs to the Board of Supervisors, not to him. But then the other element that I was going to mention is just to reiterate the conversation that was yesterday, where Supervisor Kosmicki tried to force me into a corner and basically, I guess, assumed that I have to be attending meetings in person, and he's trying to get the board to support that. I believe it's going to be a violation of my rights, and I'm just letting you know that I'm considering my legal options.
Peter, you're speaking and you can't hear me. I asked the clerk to mute you, just simply because I understand that concern arose up yesterday, and we'll have to address that. However, you just mentioned something very, very serious about the order. I have no knowledge of it either. So I'm going to unmute you, but please stay specific to this item number 5. Oh, please. Okay. So go ahead and unmute.
Well,
yeah. Wait, Peter, I'm going to interrupt you a moment. Has there in fact been a new order that has been sent out? Because that was the first.
No, not to our knowledge. I just reached out to Tracy. She has no clue.
Okay. So Peter, if you have some information about an order that was released this morning or last night, can you share that with us? Because I have no knowledge of it, nor does County Council, nor does Ray.
Is it the state public health
forward
officer?
it to you.
State or local?
It's a local vaccine verified test health order final.
But that's the one that was issued,
so, yeah.
right? A couple days ago, last week? That was the one pertaining to the firefighters.
Yeah, it says to the firefighters. You sent this morning, Barbara, and you said it's a new health order. Either way,
Right.
whether it was 2 days ago or
I
today.
forwarded the.
Okay,
I
but
forwarded-
for clarification, there was not a new one. It might have been finalized or something this morning or last.
No, it wasn't. I sent him the one that was finalized. He asked for, he requested the one that was issued by the doctor, I think last week,
Yeah.
and I sent it to him, but
okay.
it's
Yeah,
not new.
He did indicate he did not get what he received last week. I did hear that yesterday.
Yes, and I
did
sent him
not
a
know what he
copy,
was
but
talking
it's
about.
not new. It's the same one from last week.
Okay, well, like I said, I just want to make sure we're clear, because I don't want anyone to think we're doing something underhanded. I'm trying to be as transparent as possible. Okay, so I apologize for interrupting. We had that conversation yesterday multiple times about not interrupting, and you may continue as long as you stay pertinent to item number 5.
Yeah. Well, so just my final comments on what I was mentioning is it is pertinent because it relates to vaccine mandates, and all of a sudden now we're trying to include board members. I guess what's next is the business community and individuals in the community. So that's where I see this going, and that's why I mentioned it, because we're talking about vaccine mandates. Originally, it had to do with healthcare workers. Now, all of a sudden, it's public safety. With Colin Kosmicki's mentioned yesterday, it's very clear that it's heading in the direction of everybody. So anyway, so those are my comments. I obviously don't agree with this mandate at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Hernandez. Yesterday, I kept my comments rather brief, and I will go into it. Please, no clapping back there. So my fellow supervisors sitting at the dais with me, they said what they said yesterday, and I appreciate that. I'm going to take a little bit of time to kind of discuss. I did my due diligence as this item came to the agenda last Tuesday. And I went ahead, as I said yesterday, I reached out to SEIU. I'm wearing purple in solidarity for them today. And I did meet with the union heads. There are approximately 500 employees in the county. 200 plus are SEIU union members, and approximately 77 people of the total population of employees at the county are not vaccinated. So we're talking about a very small percentage, 20% there, give or take, rough numbers. That's about 100 out of 500. And so I understand that this is a very hot topic. I heard all the comments. I don't ever want to have a holy war in the chambers again, please, okay? Please. There's a time and a place for religion. Those of us who believe, we carry it with us all the time, okay? So please don't make it that we as supervisors have to bring religion into the chambers, because we're going to get shut down every single time. We're guided by our faith. We make the decisions by who we are, our personalities. We are formed by our upbringing, from our families, and we are going to be true to who we are. And so I'm in a conundrum here. I have a law degree, I have common sense, but I'm also a very passionate, emotional creature. I can't help it. It is who I am. So I did my due diligence after that item came up last month, or excuse me, the last meeting, and I made sure that I talked with SEIU. And so I feel okay with where I'm going with this in terms of speaking the voice of the county employees. Today's vote is strictly for county employees. It is not countywide, it is not all the businesses, it is strictly county employees. So roughly impacting 500 of us, okay? I also reached out to the firefighters union, and they're very adamantly against this. They do not want us to support this. They also asked me if we can rescind the order or vote no on it, and I explained that Dr. G's order was Dr. G's order, and we had no say in that. And so it's the law and the authority that has invested him by the state of California to go ahead and state that emergency order that was stated, and so I'm not even gonna touch on that. I did read the staff report on the vaccination, and I kid you not, I do my homework. I did it. It's highlighted, okay? And I am okay with the fact that the policy addresses all the concerns that have been articulated. I am speaking on behalf of public safety in general of the community. I know some segments of the population are going to find it offensive of what I vote today, but I'm voting my conscience. And so, there's no public comment. There are legal exceptions to the meet and confer that Supervisor Hernandez raised. Government Code 3504.5 allows in situations of emergency exceptions to the normal meet and confer. And so that we are following. Because the COVID-19 pandemic poses a significant threat and risk to the community, supervisors sitting at this dais here must act. There is also the self-attestation form. And for those of you worried that it's going to be just the honor system, it is not the honor system. HR has put into policy that anyone who claims that they have been vaccinated, that status will be verified. Employees who choose not to vaccinate have options. There will be the exceptions of religious beliefs and medical reasons. And so we are covering our bases in terms of those who can't possibly get the vaccine. There are consequences for non-compliance. We will try as much as possible to give reasonable accommodations for those with ADA concerns. Any volunteers in the county will also be forced to adhere to this policy. And if not, they will be sent home. If they are sent home, I have a big question. Sent home, what happens? They will have 10 days, up to 10 days available to them for sick leave if they have it on the books. If they do not have it on the book, then there's no recourse for the county. If they do not get the vaccination required within that 10 days, there's a possible consequence of disciplinary action, which could include possible termination. And so the county staff, I want to thank you for being so thorough. Where's Edgar? There you are. Yes, anything that I misspoke, please do.
It's actually vacation, not sick time.
Oh, what?
Yeah, just
Hold
a
on.
clarity, point of clarity.
And if
Oh,
I'm-
accepts it. I didn't see the accept there. Okay. my
Good
bad.
morning, Chair, members of the board. Just a quick clarification. The medical and religious exemption would apply only for individuals for testing. Our employees do have the choice now to be vaccinated or not. That is their choice, and if they choose not to disclose their vaccination status or be vaccinated, they will be subject to twice weekly testing under this. The testing does have a reasonable accommodation process through religious or medical exemptions for the testing only at this time, because
But not for the vaccine?
the vaccine right now is voluntary for most of our employees. There is a small group out of your powers board under CDPH, and that only applies to behavioral health. Under the CDPH order in your policies,
I did
you will
see that.
find that is an order that only applies as a mandate to behavioral health. All of our other employees in the county have a choice of being vaccinated or not at this time. If those employees that stated in their inoculation verification that they are vaccinated and can show proof, we are not taking copies of those CDC cards. We are only verifying that they are inoculated, so they will not be subject to the twice weekly testing. Employees that do not verify their vaccine and or wish not to disclose will be treated as unvaccinated and will be subject to twice weekly testing. The weekly testing element would be on paid status by a vendor of our choice. We're working on the details of that, more to come. And individuals that for some reason cannot test, we will start the ADA process if an ADA process does exist with the testing capacity, either religious or medical. If the employee in question cannot produce an ADA accommodation, we will go through the discipline process.
Thank you for the clarification. I did not want anything erroneous on the record that was attributed to me, so I appreciate that. Going back to my comments here, as I said, I did my due diligence to make sure that I talked with people who this was going to be directly impacting, and I feel confident that I did what I needed to do. I don't apologize for us having to be here again at 8:30 in the morning to listen to one item for one vote. I will not ever, not in my personal life, not in my professional life, sign something or attest to something that I have not read, and I had not read it. I said that yesterday. That's not true today. I read it. I did my homework, and on that note, I'm ready to take the vote. Okay? So, all in favor of this? Can you? Oh, I need a motion. Sorry.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion. I'd like to move that we approve employee testing for county employees and vaccination policy, subject to meet and confer and delegate authority to county administrative officer to finalize and implement the policy.
Second.
To the maker of the motion and to the second, I wanted to clarify that motion if I could just a bit. It would be not subject to meet and confer. It should state subject and direct staff to meet and confer over impacts. And then the second part, if it's already finalized and the board's approving the policy, you don't need to delegate the authority to
Okay.
finalize.
I will,
So you could just say, discuss and approve employee testing and vaccination policy and direct staff to meet and confer over impacts.
Okay, I'll amend my motion. I move that we approve the employee testing and vaccination policy, subject to meet and confer for the impacts of that policy.
Yes, not subject to it, it's,
Not-
and direct staff to meet and
And
confer over
directs,
impacts.
and direct staff to meet and confer on the impacts of that policy.
Yes.
Madam Clerk, do you have that clear? Okay, because I didn't, but it's,
Second.
okay, so
I request an amendment.
go ahead, Supervisor Hernandez.
Yeah, my request for the amendment is to allow for clarity on the exemption process as the ADA, basically the ADA clarifications on the exemptions for religious and medical. And also I request on the amendment for us to meet and confer prior to implementing this order, as it will have legal ramifications if we do not understand what the consequences are of just pushing this through without meeting and conferring.
Madam
So
Chair.
hold on, that was a friendly amendment. You
Well,
can accept it or you cannot. It's, you're the maker of the motion.
Right.
And you
No, I
can, you
don't
have that
accept-
decision.
I don't accept that. Within the policy, it already specifically lays out the details of the meet and confer. We've already had a legal look at this. It is only subject to the impact of this policy, and we've already looked at the issue in terms of the exceptions. So I would not accept that amendment.
Okay, so I have a first, I have a second. We've had conversation. Did you want to add something else, Supervisor Koznicki?
No, Madam
Okay,
Chair.
all right. And so,
Madam Chair,
yes,
just
go
really
ahead,
quick to
Supervisor
clarify,
Hernandez.
point of clarification. There was no clarity on ADA exemptions. There was just, you got to go through the ADA exemptions process. Assistant CAO NOLASCO mentioned that, never pointing out what that process is. I know that has to do with, obviously, there's nuances, but that generalization I don't think is good for the public trust. I think we need to clarify what that means. How are you going to apply these exemptions? So I don't think that that's healthy that we're pushing this through without clarifying. Otherwise, we have the upper hand in how we want to implement it according to our interpretation. I don't think that's honest.
If I may, I'm going to have Edgar direct that question specifically, since I'm not qualified to do that for you.
Good morning, Supervisor Hernandez. That is a great point and great question. Thanks for bringing it up. Under Title VII EOC, they have guidance over what is the accommodation process. We are developing forms right now. We have reached out to other counties that are in the same process of us doing these accommodations. We are about to finalize the forms, so if individual who is not vaccinated by their choice, an employee, and is subject to the weekly testing, if they will not test, we will engage that individual and assume it's a reasonable accommodation. We will provide them the paperwork to then either make a decision, is it religious in nature or is medical in nature. For the medical in nature, there will be a physician that has to sign off on why the individual cannot test, do the twice weekly testing, and if it's temporary, acute, or it's a long-term, indefinite accommodation. In all of our processes during the county, we always have an accommodation process. The CAO's office works closely with county counsel on legal guidance. There's a lot of things at play, ADA, EEOC guidance, and Title VII when it comes to all businesses in the county. This would not be an exception. If an employee cannot test for religious or medical, we will engage that employee and work in the best interest of that employee.
On a case-by-case basis.
Correct, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair. Yeah, I appreciate that explanation. I had a sense of that, and I'm glad that a CAO or Assistant CAO NOLASCO clarified. So basically what I heard was we're building the plane while we're flying it. We're basically applying we don't even have a process. We're just going to push this through, and we're going to create the process after the fact. So just for clarification, we don't have a process, and we're basically starting to consider implementing something that, or basically implementing a policy that we don't even have built out yet. So we're like pulling a permit for a non-business, as an example. It doesn't make sense to me. All this seems to be very backwards and, again, discouraging public trust, but it's the will of the board.
So on that note, we will go ahead and take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
So it's a 3-1
No.
vote. Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Okay, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to clear the
Yes.
chambers. You guys promised you guys would not, you guys promised. You pro-
Ju- Just, Supervisor Gonzalez, Supervisor Gonzalez, Supervisor Gonzalez, just for the record, because if there's any issue, can we please do a roll call, just so it's clear on the record?
So we're gonna go ahead and take a break, okay? Let's take a break, let's close session, we're gonna take a break. We're taking a break.
Your microphone. Your microphone.
We are now resuming the meeting at yet again another public disruption. So the meeting will stay closed to the public today for the rest of the day. We also need to do a roll call vote. This is a very, very substantial vote, and it needs to be on the record for the record. So, Madam Clerk, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Kosmicki,
Aye.
Tiffany,
Aye.
Hernandez,
Peter? Silence.
I was unmuted again. I was muted again. No.
Okay, no. Okay, and
Gonzalez.
aye. So 3-1 for the record.
Supervisor Hernandez voting against.
Yes, yes. So this same agenda item, we had the incentive. Now, I know through the course since January.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Supervisor Hernandez, I have the floor, but yes.
I just, because I honestly, I lost sound. That's the only reason why I'm chiming in. I just wanted to, I don't know how the vote played out because I heard silence.
Okay, so let's go ahead and do the roll call again officially so that you have it, okay? Because I do not want to, one more time, sorry.
Kosmicki,
Aye.
Tiffany,
Aye.
Hernandez,
No.
Gonzalez.
Aye. So officially, we have 3-1 vote with Supervisor Hernandez being the no vote. Okay, and so as I was saying, going back to the incentive, this was something that the ad hoc has been just really on it in terms of passionate that we have to find ways to change our numbers, and it looks like we finally might be at a number that's agreeable. This $200 figure, I'm going to take credit for it in that I have been talking to people in the various counties, Monterey counties, Santa Cruz County, of course, people in our industry, and I spoke with a very kind gentleman, Bill Lee from Martha's Kitchen, and he was explaining to me the situation that Santa Clara County was having, and at the food banks and trying to give incentives, and he said we try to give food, we try to give, gift certificates, then they decided to go to the dollar amount. He said 10, 25, 50, 100, and nothing really pushed the numbers and the scale to motivate people until they hit the $200 mark. So I had suggested that to Supervisor Kosmicki, and he took it to the ad hoc, and it sounds like that was something that they supported. Our county budget, because of the American Rescue money, it can support it. So do we have, I'm kind of deferring to you before we do the ad hoc? Yay, cool.
I can.
Go ahead.
But
Yeah.
I would like to note one thing for the record. On the agenda, it says discuss and provide staff direction regarding the vaccine incentives. So that's providing direction to staff to
And that's what we're trying to do.
Yes, rather than the board adopting a
That's right.
vaccine policy
Oh, so
itself.
then you guys are going to figure it out.
The,
It
No,
says-
the
No,
incentives, for the incentives.
sorry,
For the
incentives.
incentives.
Right.
Giving
It
the
says-
board direction,
But we just-
$200.
Go ahead.
Right.
You give us the
be
direction on that.
$200 being paid for out of the American Relief Act
Yes,
money up to $500,000.
that's correct.
Okay. And
That's-
can I just make a motion?
Yeah.
Well, I was just, can you state for the record
Yeah, so
the
for-
qualifications why before they get that?
Yes. So for the record, this would be a $200 per person incentive that would be paid upon fully vaccination. So it would be paid upon the, in the case of 2 vaccination, Pfizer, Moderna, be paid at the time of the second shot. Case of, if it was case of Johnson & Johnson, it would be at the time of the first shot. This would be retroactive to 2 weeks ago, to our last meeting, which
October,
was
you said August the 10th, I believe is
August
the
the
date.
10th.
the 10th, so it would be retroactive to that date. There is, our Director of Health and Human Services, Tracy Belton, has a procedure already set up for how to administrate this. And this would also, I might add, be cash payment as well. So it would be $200 per person. And currently, we're going to be allocating up to $500,000 from the monies coming from the American Relief Act to the county. Anything
In my
else?
day, I'd just add there was also the 25, I don't know if you remember the PowerPoint. It seems like it was a year from yesterday, but the PowerPoint presentation also had a $25
And gift cards. Yes.
Yes.
And that
also.
comes from, that's from the state?
That's
isn't-
from
yeah,
the state programming
state.
through Tracy.
So that would be an addition.
in addition to
Okay, and a question on that, and I know Supervisor Kosmicki, you're next, but a question for that. Who decides whether they get the gift card or the $25 or the $200? Because that's a concern that was raised.
Tracy, can you elaborate further on the $25 gift card, please? She'll come on right now.
Good morning. Sorry, I was still in the waiting room. So yes, so the $25 gift card incentive is for first dose. So on or after August 10th, if you received your first dose, those will be allocated out at our public health office. We'll need to verify that you received first dose based off of your vaccine card. And then anyone that received the first dose of a vaccine or the J&J on or after August 10th will receive a gift card for some local businesses as well as some bigger businesses, Safeway, Amazon, those types of gift cards. And then once fully vaccinated, we will have a separate process for the cash incentive. They'll come to, we'll have a location at our office where it'll be verified by one of our staff just based off of the vaccine card. And if you're a minor, you'll need to be present with your parent or guardian. We'll issue a voucher. It's almost like a cash voucher, and they'll then take that voucher to the treasurer's office and they will be dispersing the $200 cash incentive. We've almost finalized the process. We were just waiting for board direction on the next steps. And we will issue these until the $500,000 is exhausted.
Yes,
One point of
go ahead.
clarity as well is it's going to be for county employees and county residents only at this point in time.
Correct.
If I could suggest something, it's totally up to the board. There's a lot of details here. The CAO already has the authority, under his authority, to start implementing. But if we would like to bring back a formal resolution or a formal policy with all the details so the board could vote on that, no?
I see you shaking your head, and then I hear one saying, so it's hard for us
That's
when
my
we.
fault.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
if I may, Madam
Oh,
Chair.
yes, I'm so sorry, I ignored you.
No, it's
sorry.
fine. I think as long as we have the authority to do it, I don't want to put any delays on this. We're going to approve it. You know, people are, I don't want to have it where we have a program in place and, you know, where people are still uncertain about it, you know, so we're not really giving any clarity. You know, one of us could come back and vote no for whatever reason, and then people would have gotten the vaccine thinking that they were going to get the $200, and then all of a sudden we're pulling the rug out from under them. So I would suggest let's approve it today and move forward. And I will also just add, as long as I have the floor, that I really, really want to see aggressive outreach on this. I think that is the key to this. If we don't do the outreach, we're wasting our money. So let's really get on that outreach right away. Thank you.
Okay. No other conversations on that one? Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Was there a first on that?
Well, I don't think I actually
Oh, okay.
made a motion, but
He wasn't able to get it out of his mouth.
That was a motion, that's all.
Madam Chair, do you want me to go ahead with? I'd like to make a motion that we approve the $200 per person incentive for those residents that are fully vaccinated, effective August 10th, retroactive to August 10th.
Mr.
And direct CAO to proceed with the details or
To move forward with that action item.
to move
Yeah.
forward with that action
Yeah,
item.
and-
Thank
and-
you.
Yes, and I think that if the CAO can move forward using the board's direction right now, there doesn't even need to be a formal vote. You could put out the policy through your office.
Okay.
But we can vote.
Would you rather vote on it anyways
Yeah,
for the
just
record?
to-
Just for
I
clarity
think
and
it's
for
good that you
transparency.
vote on it as well.
Okay, that was my motion.
Okay, so that's his motion.
Second.
Okay, so I have a first and a second. Okay, Supervisor Hernandez, any comments before we take a vote?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I completely obviously disagree with this whole process. I believe it's prioritizing vaccinated over unvaccinated, making the unvaccinated folks officially, they become by default second-class citizens. I don't agree with this at all. And Jesus, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll go ahead and go for the vote then. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
No.
3-1 with Supervisor Hernandez dissenting. Okay. So is that the extent of this meeting?
That's the extent of it.
This meeting, okay.
But
But we
we're
can
going to
continue.
continue it, though.
This
This for
meeting.
today, yeah. We're going to
Okay,
continue this meeting.
so then we're going to go ahead and adjourn this meeting for today. We will still be continuing on the remainder of the agenda on August 31st at 9 a.m. Again, it will be the same Zoom number, same agenda, and it will be open to the public, subject to proper behavior. Once it goes crazy like it did yesterday and today, we will clear the chambers and then we will commence business. I'm not playing anymore. It's a very tough seat to be in. And when people are yelling at you and very, very passionate in their position that is contrary to the board's, there's nothing I can do but close the chamber. And so enough said about that. Motion to adjourn for this meeting.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, 4-0 to adjourn. So that meeting's over. Can we take a little break?